Hey everybody, welcome to the Jim Masters Show Live Entertainment Lifestyle Variety Talk Show series. How you guys doing today? We've got a very special guest joining us, Kelly Speck, joining us from right outside Greater Washington, D.C. in Maryland. She's the author of this really incredible book, Hope in the Heartache. We're going to talk about this in just a second. She has a very, very inspiring story. You know, life hands everyone some curveballs and things they don't expect. And one such curveball for Kensington, Maryland-based Kelly Speck, author of Hope in the Heartache, was the birth of her son, Bennett. He was born blue. He was barely alive, and all the air had been sucked from the room, recalls Kelly, whose new true to life and immaculately detailed memoir talks about Bennett's fight to survive and his family's journey through grief and exhaustion in hospitals, churches, and insurance offices. The doctors said the end was near for Bennett. Was there any hope? Well, after Bennett's birth, life changed for the Speck family. Being a parent of a special needs child is tough, and it's a journey no one is ever likely to choose, according to Kelly, who never lost faith in God and learned what matters most in life: hope. From long drives to different therapists to developing individual learning plans, extra study sessions, and helping them with the tiniest of tasks, life for Kelly and her husband, Trevor, had been nothing short of overwhelming, but also rewarding and heartwarming. Kelly had once thought that she would spend her life as a working mom and wife hustling in corporate America while volunteering for the PTA, but life's numerous curveballs prompted an evolution. And as she faces work's daily challenges while remaining a proud wife, mom, and caregiver for Bennett, Kelly's mantra has always been, and you know I'm always big with Masters mantras. Kelly has a mantra, and that's life is not always easy, but it's always beautiful. Her book, Hope in the Heartache, The Journey of Grace and Growth with a Special Needs Child, is a devastating and uplifting story. It's for anyone who's faced trauma, for anyone supporting a loved one in a crisis, or for anyone who needs to know how it might feel to confront and overcome true heartache. It is available for pre-order on Amazon as well. And you can see the book right there on the screen in our colorful graphic there. And here's another fabulous shot of the book. And there's another great shot of the family. We have some beautiful photos here as well. It's a wonderful, loving family. And we're very excited to have her here to talk about the book and what it was like writing the book. And there's Bennett seeing the book, and they're all excited. And there's another beautiful shot of the family as well. It's a very heartwarming, empowering, inspiring episode of the Jim Masters Show Live. As you guys know, we do a lot of different things on our show. This is like a traditional entertainment lifestyle variety talk show series where every episode is something special, unique, fun, levity, poignant moments, inspiring moments. We don't call these interviews, we call these conversations with all of you. Our studio audience is watching in our JMS chat room. What does that mean? Well, our chat room is live right now. For those watching live, it's open, it's available. If you would like to comment during the show, we can see some of your comments as well. We can sprinkle some of those in, but make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. That is the channel that you're watching right now, Jim Masters TV. The channel is Jim Masters TV. The show is the Jim Masters Show Live. So subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. So that way there, you're letting us know you really appreciate what we're doing. Click the notification bell as well. So that way there, you never miss any of our episodes because you get alerts about every single episode that we do. Hit that red button there. You see subscribe, very important. There's no cost for that as well. Click that. And again, if you would like to chat in our exclusive JMS chat room, definitely do subscribe to the YouTube channel because that is a gift for our subscribers. Those who subscribe to the channel, again, there's no cost for that. You get to comment with each other. A lot of you like to talk amongst yourselves in our JMS Lovity chat room. And also we get to see some of your comments as well. And if you enjoy this episode or any of them, be sure and do a super chat, super emoji, super stickers, whatever you like to do. Super thanks, which is the heart icon on all the episodes. If you enjoy this episode, that helps support everything that we are doing here. Some 700 episodes live 7 days a week. I just got in from a television shoot in Massachusetts only about an hour ago. We were at a historic, fabulous restaurant up in West Springfield, Massachusetts, on the grounds of what's called the Big E, which is the Eastern States Exhibition, which is a major annual fair and festival that happens in the fall in Massachusetts and in New England every year. Like 100 years they've been doing it. We were at a fabulous restaurant there for the travel series that I do. And then I had 2 radio shows and live interviews on radio with the other hat that I wear, and that was earlier today. And now here we are seated in this chair at JMS Levity Hall with all of you. And then I will have some dinner and then I will sleep. Hope everybody's doing well. Hello, JMS Levity family. We welcome you to the Jim Masters Show Live. Hopefully you saw some of those previous episodes. John Davidson was here last night. Tony Orlando was here just the other night. Melissa Manchester was with us. Lucy Arnez was here. And so many others. Lots of comments built up. If this is your first time watching us, thank you very much. We really appreciate you being here. Again, our show is a lot of light, love, levity. If you enjoy it, be sure and give it a hearty thumbs up and leave a comment on our YouTube channel as well. We would really, really appreciate that. Kelly is here, as I mentioned, joining us from Maryland to share the wonderful stories of this book, her fabulous memoir, what the writing process was like, and so much more. Again, it's a very beautiful story that we're going to be sharing, and we're so blessed and honored to have the author here with us right on the show. So put your hands together, gang, and join me in welcoming Kelly Speck to the Jim Masters Show Live. Kelly, welcome to the show, my friend. It's nice to have you here.
Hi, Jim. I'm so delighted to be with you, and I'm worn out just hearing about your schedule. Thank you so much for making time for me.
Oh, the pleasure is mine. I wouldn't have missed this for the world. I think it's such a heartwarming and beautiful and important story. And congratulations on the book. You know, having a book published isn't the easiest thing to do. And so you did it and you've mastered it. And as a memoir as well, what was the inspiration? Of course, we know the thrust of the inspiration, but what were some of the other inspirations for you to actually, you know, you've lived this, but then say, I'm going to take it further and I'm going to share this with the world. Tell us about that inspiration to actually put pen to paper and make a fabulous book out of it.
Yeah, thank you so much for asking. I never thought I would be an author. I'm a nerdy accountant by trade. I really just love spreadsheets and numbers. And my husband is administrator for the National Institutes of Health. And so, anyway, we are not authors. But that being said, our son Bennett, who's now almost 15, was born in August of 2007. And a lot of families have kids who sometimes spend some time in the NICU, but then get to come home and live a relatively normal life. That was not our story. It was quite a dramatic NICU stay. And actually, it's been quite a dramatic road ever since then. I know you have such a background in entertainment, and I always refer to Bennett as our own little Forrest Gump, right? It's like living with Forrest Gump in a way. He has introduced us to some remarkable people who have come across our path and just given us really opportunities to see places in the world that we never would have if we didn't have him. So anyway, fast forward to 2020. Obviously, we're in a global pandemic. We live right outside of DC. Everyone was scared, angry, mad, politics ablaze, and my gut just told me, like, we don't have a perfect story with the perfect ending, quote unquote, tie a ribbon on it. But we do have a story of hope and really a heartwarming story. So many people in our lives, just say when they're around Bennett, they just feel good. They feel better about life. And so we just saw it as an opportunity to share his story. And we reached out to a hybrid publisher, and they immediately said, yes, we want to do your story. And I didn't even have a manuscript. I had a paragraph and some journal entries, and they just said, keep writing. And so we kept writing and they kept editing. And faith is a huge part of our story. And I said, we really can't take that out because they're not a Christian publisher. And they said, don't take it out, leave it, just tell your story. And so they were just wonderful. Ballast Books is our publisher, and just give us free reins to tell the story of Bennett and really the miracle that his life is. He shouldn't have lived. He did live, and he's just had a really full life ever since. That
which
all
is
that to say it's
beautiful.
not easy. So we're
Right.
definitely not Pollyanna like,
It's not
"Oh, it's
a
all
Brady Bunch
unicorns and
story.
rainbows."
Right.
No, we're very transparent with the hard, obviously, of raising a child with severe disabilities. He's dependent upon us for everything. He has 2 typical siblings who have needs as well, and then just my husband and my journeys of grief and the loss of what we thought was going to be for Bennett's life, and anyway, everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So it's all in this book. And I've had friends say they laughed and then they cried and then they laughed and then they cried, and it's kind of all the emotions.
What was the writing process like for you? It had to be very raw and emotional and deep. So when you decided, I think I really want to share this story as part of your memoir with the world at large. Not everybody is comfortable enough, open enough to be able to do that. What was that process like for you to be able to say, you know what, I really want to share this because I think it can inspire, lift, and empower others who might be going through something similar?
Yeah, you know what? To be honest, I'm an open book, which you'll realize on this interview. So really, I have nothing to hide. It is what it is. You know, it's our story, and so to be honest, I really never had any hesitation about telling our story. I just thought if people don't like it, that's okay. It's our life. You know, it's not like it's a fiction novel and one character may not be developed enough. No, it's just the people in our family and friends, and just wonderful people along the way. And so my only hesitancy was obviously my husband is a professional. I mean, we both work. And so it was just that do we want to really be that vulnerable with coworkers, bosses, strangers on the street, old boyfriends and girlfriends? I mean, whatever. Do we really want everyone to know, kind of lifting the veil? And we both had such a peace that yes, we did, because um, Bennett is, an inspiration to us. He's changed us for the better. And doesn't this, I mean, this world is such a heavy place right now. I know nothing is new under the sun, but my goodness, it feels so heavy. And so we just felt like if this could be an encouragement to one person, one family, then it's worth it, because we need each other. Isolation is like the worst of the worst. We all know that. And so we just hope that this book could be a bridge.
Did you ever think you would be an author?
No. I thought I would be in business school, running a corporation, to be honest. But we were quite the type A planners before we had children, and now we just laugh, because it's like the minute we make plans, God laughs and sends us in a different direction. And we, at this point, we've learned to go with it because life is so much fuller that way.
They do say that sometimes, even though it doesn't seem it at the moment, and we don't realize it till maybe we gain the wisdom and the experience and the tread marks, that God gives us only what we can handle sometimes, or what he thinks we can handle. And in this case, and when there's something beautiful to come out of it, and there's a message and there's a reason for it all. Did you feel that way when Bennett was born and the doctors said what was going to be happening and what the prognosis was and what his condition was? That there's this is a gift in many ways too. Some may look at it like it's not a gift, like it's a tragedy, but maybe you looked at it like there was a gift here that you were given, a beautiful gift of Bennett.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, to be honest, initially, no. We were in
Right.
full on survival mode,
Yes.
PTSD the first year, no doubt. We were purely surviving because he had an oxygen depletion, and so that's what caused his cerebral palsy. And so he was discharged after a 70 NICU stay. We knew he had brain damage, but if he was awake, he was screaming. So he was withdrawing from morphine, reflux, sensory overload, you name it. And so we couldn't even see the forest from the trees. But as once he got through his first birthday, and he started to get a little bit happier, stopped
Yeah.
screaming nonstop,
Yeah.
and the dust kind of settled in terms of the trauma of his birth. I think there was a lot of grief for sure, but then we started realizing this is really not even about us, because we had people, strangers, writing us letters I haven't prayed in decades, but there was a certain night we talk about in our book when Bennett came off of life support and the doctor said, we don't expect him to live, prepare for him to die, but he cannot stay on this machine any longer because he was bleeding everywhere due to the blood thinners. And it was like a crime scene. And so we said, okay, we hear what you're saying. We understand the odds are against us, but we're going to ask people around the world to pray for this baby. So at that point, it's 2007. There's no social media. There's barely email. We didn't text. So somehow emails were sent across the world. People were praying for this little baby Bennett in Washington, D.C. And anyway, after the fact, he lived and people were just overjoyed. And then we started getting letters from strangers saying, I haven't prayed, I haven't been to church in decades. But when I prayed that night for your son, something within me changed. And when he lived, it's made me reevaluate. Well, maybe there is a God who cares about me, And so as we're starting to receive these letters, we're just like, whoa, this is so much bigger than us. And so I will never pretend to understand the mystery of God. But what I do know is with age and maturity and therapy and all of the above, our eyes have been open to, like Bennett is a gift to us. He's a gift to this world. And really, he gives us the perspective that we were age 29 and almost 30 when Bennett was born. And he changed everything on a dime. I mean, we were worried about saving money for our first home and decorating it and buying a nice car and the nice SUV for our babies. We're all worried on checking the boxes of, kind of the American dream. And immediately when you have your firstborn child who cannot breathe, who then therefore has cerebral palsy, cannot do anything for himself, everything changes on a dime. And so keeping up with the Jones, comparing ourselves, you just can't even compare yourself to anyone because immediately the game has changed. And so it was such a gift, although it was hard at the age of 30. A lot of people are in their 50s and 60s and they realize, okay, who cares about the Jones, but like we were taught that lesson at the age of 30. So we really are the lucky ones that we've had such a shift in perspective. But of course, we still live in this world and we're still raising two younger kids who, want the red car like Johnny and want to play on the sports team with Fred. And, so we're still in this world. We're like between two worlds, basically. And just kind of, we're just finding our way and we're all learning together. We are a work in progress. There's no doubt about that.
Absolutely right. You're learning and growing, and that is such a beautiful, beautiful thing on so many different levels. And it's been quite an experience for you as well. I mentioned that our friend and who was a guest on our show, Chris Corman, who's the son of the legendary Harvey Korman from the Carol Burnett show, Carol and Tim Conway and Harvey. He's here, and he was very excited to be watching from his home. He says one of the biggest impediments for a family to remain a strong unit is sometimes the resentment of the child with a challenge. So how has the book and the attention affected the other kids in the family, pro and con? Great question, Chris Corman, son of Harvey Korman, who was very excited, and he sends you his positive wishes and love as well.
Hi, Chris. Thank you. That is a great question. And I really appreciate it because it's so real and it's so true. Any sibling of a person with disabilities, can tell you how difficult it is. There's no doubt about that. Like I said, my kids are ages 9 and 11. So we're like knocking on the tween teenage years. And we've always tried very, very hard to let them feel their feelings, if they're mad, if they're sad, if they're embarrassed, not shaming them for that, because it's hard having a brother with a disability. Bennett likes his house, he likes his school, and he likes his car. He doesn't really like a restaurant. He doesn't really like a friend's house. He doesn't even like his grandma's house most of the time. He's pretty set in his ways. And so therefore, if he doesn't like it, he's screaming. And that takes a toll on his siblings. There's no doubt about that. And so we are in kind of new waters of really trying to honor everybody. So for a lot of times that means Bennett stays home with a sitter, and he's honored by staying home where he wants to be. And then we can go and do soccer and football and basketball and friend events with our typical kids, because really, it's no one's fault. It is what it is. We're a family and we love each other and we try hard to have compassion, but at the same time, we just want to pour into all three of our kids who have such unique needs. And so obviously as they grow and into their teenage years, we're very aware of, therapies and just there's even some not-for-profits who actually have like small group sessions with siblings of kids with disabilities who can really, because there's nothing stronger than the two words me too, right? When you're around other people who get it. And I didn't have siblings with a disability, so I only get it to a certain extent, even, and I'm their mother, but letting them spend time with other siblings of kids with disabilities, we have found to be a real source of strength for them. So thanks for that question, Chris.
Absolutely. Yes, Chris Corman, thanks for that beautiful question as well. And everybody who's watching, we welcome you. How, there's so many different emotions that come into play, and you never know what day you're going to feel the different emotions. How have you been able, as an individual, Kelly, as well as collectively as a family, to navigate those added layers? Meaning there is the day-to-day care, of course, for Bennett, and the love and all the rest. But then there's these layers of complexity that come in, like feelings of guilt, shame, sadness, frustration, anger, continued worry. How have you been able to navigate that along the way as a individual, as a couple, as a family?
Yes, wonderful question. In our title, it's Hope in the Heartache, a journey of grace and growth. And so I think grace for each other is just the number one. Thankfully my husband Travis, we've been married 22 years. We were college sweethearts. We met in West Texas, random story. But he is a wonderful man. And I think, that's the kind of the beauty of relationship is a lot of times when I'm feeling down, he's okay. And when he's feeling down, I'm okay. And kind of that ebb and flow, yin and yang is kind of the grace of God that we have just allowed each other to, my husband's very open in the book. There's a chapter written by him. I think it's the best chapter in the book. And he talks about being Bennett's dad and the father and the for the most part, sole provider, and Travis's journey with anxiety and severe depression. I mean, he was clinically depressed, hospitalized at one point, and even dealt with an abuse of prescription drugs. He had horrible migraines leading up to Bennett's birth, and then after Bennett's birth, just kind of slipped into just the abuse of that to deal with the emotional pain. The universal condition is pain, right? We all have felt pain, will feel pain, and it's just how we find healthy ways to cope with that is kind of the secret of life. And at times, it's been really difficult. And obviously when Travis was really struggling, Bennett was 3 and I was pregnant with our son Jackson. That was about 12 years ago. And it was a really horrible time because I just remember thinking, he's so depressed, he can't get out of bed, he is not sober, and we are burning through our savings because at that point he had quit his job. And literally I was just praying to God, please take care of us. And I don't know what this is going to look like. I mean, obviously at that point, I just wanted Travis to be alive and get the help that he needed. And thank God he did. And I will always respect him to the moon and back just because he was in such pain. Obviously the birth of Bennett and all the pain that had come after that. And he got the help that he needed because there were our wonderful professionals, family, friends who have walked with him in that journey. And I gave him the grace he needed at that point. He's given me so much grace. I think as a mom, I have probably grieved losses more in the quiet of our home. We spent years working on Bennett sitting up because I'd been told by physical therapists, if a baby can sit up, then they can stand. If they can stand, then they can walk. It's all these kind of building blocks. So we worked on sitting up for, 3 years. And then after 3 years, I kind of realized, okay, he's not sitting up. So that probably means he's not going to stand, and just kind of as the weight of all of that, sunk into me, I realized, okay, I'm going to be pushing my son in a wheelchair probably for the rest of his life. What does that look like for me? Travis and I had always joked about we couldn't wait to be empty nesters and send all of our kids, out. Good luck
Yeah.
go be
Go
adults. We're
get
gonna
him.
travel.
Yeah. Go make
And
it
that's
happen,
probably
right?
gonna look different now. We're probably gonna have Bennett with us, Lord willing. And so it's just, yeah, everything has been a shift. And obviously with those perspective shifts come losses of just what you thought life was going to be like. And we all have dealt with that in different ways. I know, we are not the only caregivers. There are people who take care of their parents, their siblings, their spouse. And so we definitely know we're not alone in this. But it has been a unique kind of navigation, of course, especially since Bennett was our first child.
I want to show you something quite moving as well. And sometimes these are the things that happen um, when we have conversations like this, which I absolutely love because I love to inspire and empower people through my work. And I like to do it even when I'm not on the air. And you're doing that with this beautiful book and opening up your world and your life. Chris Corman just posted here, which I thought you'd appreciate. As someone with a learning disability myself who wasn't supposed to survive hyaline membrane disease at birth, I can relate to her story. And he's floored that I mentioned him and that you responded. And he's actually very moved and he's crying. Uh,
Oh.
I bet you hear things like that because he himself, Chris, the son of Harvey Korman. And Harvey was, if you ever look at that story, Harvey was very loving and with a career like Harvey Korman, this iconic television star on the Cal Burnett show and movies and, all these, Mel Brooks movies and just all the things Harvey Korman did. He made sure he was there for his son, Chris, just like
Wow.
you and your husband made sure that with all the busyness of your careers and the plans you've had and with the other children, you were there lifting and supporting your son, Bennett. And Chris is connecting with your story from his own personal level, which is such a beautiful thing.
Wow. Chris, thank you so much for that. I mean, I'm so moved and I'm so happy that you're watching. And I just definitely want you to know that you're not alone. This community of, kids with disabilities, their parents, their siblings, it's growing at an exponential rate. I think because of medical technology, so many more children are really surviving these traumatic births and just there's just so many new genetic disorders and just there's just so many hard things in life. But at the same time, there's so many of us. And I just think any way that we can get together and support each other. My husband and I are at a point where we just prefer to be around. We call it other people who quote unquote get it, and get it meaning just, have had what appears to not be, the perfect life, but yet there's still beauty and there's still hope and there's still joy. And my gosh, we used to take ourselves way too seriously. And now that we've had Bennett, I mean, we laugh so much because it's just like life is crazy. I mean, and we have we've had people scream at us, I mean, it's bananas, and all you can do is laugh because if we all got offended and got our feelings hurt over every single thing, we wouldn't be able to get out of bed, which I totally get. But anyway, I'm just so happy that you're here, Chris, and thank you so much for your comments.
Absolutely. Linda's saying, Kelly, you and your family are an inspiration to so many people. God bless you and your family. She's watching in Florida as well. And Juanita is watching in South Africa. And she says, Kelly, you're an amazingly strong
Oh.
woman as well. And Chris is saying, thank you, one and all, for your love. I'm truly, truly honored to be amongst you all. Thank you for embracing me into your lives. Good vibes. Good vibes. I love that. Beautiful stuff. Also, too, as you're telling the story, which is very moving, um, how do you find the support? How and where do you find support when the going gets tough for the parents?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. Obviously, every state is different. Every county is different, really, in terms of budgets and resources and all of that stuff. Then, of course, COVID hits and there's basically no support. I think that was one of the things that came to my attention was just like, special needs families are already isolated. Then you throw COVID on and it was just like literally they were just put on an island was what it felt like. Thankfully, things are getting a little bit better. But, Travis and I, we do have really loving family and friends who have shown up for us in ways we could never thank them enough for. You know, after all we've been through, it's sometimes even just like a night out to dinner barely scratches the surface of, the rest kind of that we need. I mean, for 10 years, we had no nursing, no help whatsoever. So most of those nights I spent like asleep on Bennett's floor because just to make sure he was alive during his tube feedings and not choking. And so their respite is a new term to us, and to many families, they know what that means. But basically, there are more and more respite programs, whether it be to give you a couple hours off a week or, 5 to, nights on the weekends where parents can truly have someone watch their child with a disability. So the parents can either sleep, spend time, for their marriage, or spend time with the typical kids, pouring into the typical kids, hoping that they won't grow to be so resentful of the time away. And so anyway, we have been really fortunate through some not-for-profits programs. One is called Jill's House. It's a wonderful not-for-profit here in Washington, D.C. It's a home for respite, and they actually are growing across the country: Texas, Chicago, Seattle. It's a wonderful, wonderful place, jillshouse.org. But I think just the kindness of others. I'm always kind of leery to ask for help. I guess that's pride. I don't know what it would be, but one summer of 2017, Bennett had a double hip surgery that everything that went wrong could have gone wrong. He had
Mm.
an oozing infection, fractured bones. I mean, it was a disaster. But I just had buckled down and was trying to take care of him on my own. And finally I called the physical therapist and said, I think I'm having some issues with his positioning. And I just remember she came to my home. She wasn't even being paid. Out of the goodness of her heart, she saw how bad it was and immediately just went into help mode in terms of getting his bed positioned right and his chair and helping me with wound care. And that's, I think, one message in our book that we were just trying to let people know there are good people out there and look for the good. We're living in such a cynical, hard time in life where all we're seeing, for clicks, all the news, headlines are the worst of the worst. And you just think, what in God's name is going on? But there are so many good people. And we have just come across them. And I know they're out there where each of your viewers are, and just looking for the good really it's another perspective shift. And it really, it changes everything. And we have had some really good people come across our path.
What have actually, it's so true. When you look out there, there are a lot of good people. I know the people who aren't so good always seem to be the ones that are celebrated and elevated. It's backwards. The people
Yeah.
who are not doing great things are revered, celebrated, and lifted and rewarded. And the ones who are breaking their back doing the good things and putting their own lives on hold for the good of others aren't necessarily celebrated like they used to be, and the light is not shining on them. And I think that's sort of upside down and backwards. I think it should be the other way around. For you, what are some of the things that you learned about yourself along the way and have learned and continue to learn? I bet one of the things is that you are stronger than you thought you were initially, resilient, and there's inner strength perhaps that you called upon, that you might not even realized was there in the reserves to tap into until this happened.
Yes, I mean, absolutely. I don't think there's nothing that could ever prepare you, or prepare anyone for kind of what introduction to parenthood was for Travis and myself. I think I always say having a special needs child teaches you just how selfish you are, and we, not to be like, I mean, it's just true. I don't want to wake up every morning and have to go in and care for him head to toe. The selfish side of me is like, oh, I want to sleep in. Oh, I'd love to go for a run and just sit and drink my coffee on the back porch and look at the birds. I mean, that has never been, part of a carefree, easy wake up morning has never been part of my motherhood. And so I felt selfish at times for wanting that, but at the same time what I've learned is I felt in my core, and I would call this the voice of God, when Bennett was dying in the NICU, literally like before day 40, it was probably about day 16. in my core, I felt the words dig deep. And what I just knew was that I was going to have to dig deeper into my soul, it was going to take, the strength, the fortitude. I love my sleep. That was gone by the wayside. I mean, I was just going to have to tap in to something that, yeah, like you said, I didn't even know that I had. And God gave me the strength to do it, along with my husband and our support network. And I think um, when we were in the NICU after Bennett had turned the corner, we knew about his brain damage. We were working towards getting him home. Anyone who's been the NICU knows your baby has to drink from the bottle, keep their temperature up to a certain point. And we were kind of hitting those cues, and we're trying to get home. And it was just late one night, and the nurse, we got very close with several of our NICU nurses. Oh my gosh. To all nurses, we say we love you and you're amazing. But several we still keep in touch with, and she just looked at us and said, Bennett is exactly the little boy God intended him to be. And
Mm.
I'll never forget those words, because it's not like she was some Bible thumper. I mean, she was speaking truth to us that was true. He's exactly who God intended him to be. And we're the crazy people for having any problem with that, or wishing he was anything different, because he is so happy, he is so at peace, he is such a joy. We are the ones spinning around, in stress induced comas as we try and make sense of this crazy world. I mean, he has nothing but love. He teaches me patience, because his favorite spot to be is in our kitchen at the end of our island, where all the commotion happens. He's in the middle of all of it. When our other two kids are fighting, he's laughing. And it's just, that's his happy place. And if you stop by and give him a kiss on the cheek, you're going to get a big smile. If you sit and rub his leg, you're going to get a big belly laugh. And he's just always so patiently waiting for us to stop and love on him. And it just makes me cry, because I realize, like, what a selfish, self-absorbed person I still am. And 15 years into this motherhood journey, because I still get caught up in the things that really just don't matter. I mean, all we all need is to be seen and loved. That's just a core need of all humans. And so he teaches me that daily, of really all that matters. And he helps me to love my other two kids, more genuinely. And I say to this day, I'm like, who cares about grades? I mean, yes, of course, I want them to work hard and always do their best, but it's just, we have been taught what really matters. And so for that, I'm so grateful. And I think he's also helped me love my husband better, those around me, both strangers and family. It's just a whole new level of really seeing people for who they are.
What are some of that's beautifully said. What are some of the other known or even lesser known challenges of being a special needs parent that one doesn't really realize until, that situation is actually at their doorstep? What have you realized about the challenges?
Yeah, that's a great question. At the time, I think I mentioned I was working full time. And so I remember at first trying to navigate, okay, if I were to get a nanny or babysitter situation who's comfortable with special needs, do those people even exist? And now more and more, I think you would probably be able to find people, in all of the databases who have those specialties. But back in 2007, I mean, I just remember being like, I don't think there's anyone out there who would be comfortable with the needs that he had. And so I think that's something that a lot of parents really struggle with, or even just to find someone so that a mom and dad can go to dinner. But honestly, for if you have to work, or if you're a single parent and you truly have to work to provide shelter, I just think childcare is a huge, huge, huge stress in addition to respite. um and then I think the other, like Chris was saying, just the other aspect of siblings and kind of all that their feelings entail. And I think you or Chris actually asked about just the fact that we've written this book and we're getting, some attention about on our family, and how have the siblings handled that. You know, Obviously we're all different. We have different personalities. And I have one child who is more of my internalizer, my stoic, and then my other one is just rainbows and unicorns all day, And so she's, of course, loving all the attention, and then my middle is probably, we're having to talk him through, because it's just, he is grieving the fact that he doesn't have a brother who he can play with, who he can throw football with, who he can wrestle with on the floor. Anyone with brothers knows how brothers can be, and he doesn't have that. And I think Bennett's his older brother and it's all he's ever known. But as he's reaching the teenage years, I think he's kind of feeling new losses and grief that are just now showing its head. And so, yeah, I mean, there's just the journey continues. And in fact, I remember saying to the publisher, is now the time to write this book? Should we wait? Our story's not over. We
Until
are
they're older,
in the
perhaps,
thick of
or
it. And
yeah.
he said, no, I think the world needs to hear your story now and you can write a second book later. And I was like, okay. Because we probably do have enough random stories to fill up a second book. I know I've actually thought of several. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't, include this and this, just because literally we are drama magnets. But yeah, so we'll see. The story is not over, but definitely, Bennett's life has such meaning and just is such a gift. And we just felt like now was the time to share it. I know it may seem crazy, but
No, it's really, really important. When you feel it and it's right, then you do it. There's always life lessons that are learned too. We would talk about that a lot here on the show with all the different guests that come in from all the different backgrounds. And there's been a lot of life lessons learned just in the last 2 to 3 years with everything that we've gone through with, pandemic and all these things happening in the economy and just everything that's been thrown at everybody. With this situation, which you're on the front lines within your own family, what are some of the life lessons that you have learned along the way?
yes. I would say the number one life lesson Bennett has taught me is that people matter, things don't, and that's so trite and that's probably so simplistic. But when the people you love are all breathing, life is good. And that is just, my mom has always said, we'll never take breathing for granted again, because poor Bennett couldn't breathe. I mean, for the first 40 days of his life, he couldn't breathe. And just the simple things in life really, just noticing them and not taking them for granted is, Bennett is a constant reminder of that. And like I said, I think earlier, relationships are the key to life, and they're really the hidden gifts of life. And Bennett's almost 15, and I say I have been the worst friend, the worst sister, the worst daughter. We've had nothing to give, really. When you're raising a special needs child plus other kids plus trying to keep everyone fed and shoes on their feet. But we have had so many just gracious and loving family members and friends who've just waited, until we were able to re-engage in relationships or show up for a dinner or return a phone call, and just, I have just been so grateful for so many people who didn't give up on us. Because, for anyone watching who is walking alongside of someone who may be in crisis or may just be in a difficult time in life, or just, you name it, depressed, I mean, whatever it may be, just if they don't have the energy to call you back or let you show up, just give them some time and just walk alongside and send them a little text every now and then, let them know that you're thinking about them, because it's never personal. I'm like, please don't take it personally, to people in our life, or, it's never personal. We're just all doing the best that we can, and I just really am so grateful for so many who have not given up on us. And we're coming out from underneath our rock, I feel like, and just trying to re-engage, and yeah, and even in new relationships and new friendships, and just relationships are everything. They really are.
Absolutely. It's really amazing when you look at the journey. Um, I would imagine too, there's also, you mentioned how some people have reacted and things that people have said and done that have surprised you and in every different direction possible. What are some of the sort of not even self-created, that society creates these expectations of special needs families, the expectations that society places on them? Have you experienced these so-called expectations and what others create and how you're supposed to, live according to these expectations that the world, that society supposedly designs? Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a really stubborn person. So if someone's saying, tells me what to do, I'm probably going to do the opposite until I feel like I've made up my mind in that way. So, what I've noticed in society, there are a lot of special needs parents who I think either you have the mama bear who is advocating to the point where she's burnt out. It's taken a toll on her marriage, her kids, everyone around her is so sick of hearing about the advocacy, and I find myself, I will advocate for Bennett till the day that I die, but I find the need to find that middle ground between, yes, when I'm walking down the street, I don't want anyone's sympathy, I don't want anyone's um uh I would just like kindness in the way of like, if you don't mind keeping that door open for an extra second so I can get through with the wheelchair, thank you so much. And so I feel like the more that we walk really with just humility and just treat us as normal as possible. We're really not even asking for a bunch of special accommodations, but just I think people are pleasantly surprised when we smile, we engage, and we bring Bennett, to as many places as we can, but yet are not constantly walking around with a chip on our shoulders. I don't know. I think there's just a fine balance in life because we're all in this together. I mean, that's been so overused, but the county that we live in is, I would say, very accessible. There's a lot of places that are accessible, and I'm grateful for that. So there are people who have walked this journey ahead of us, to pass laws, the American with Disabilities Act, that the fact that all kids with disabilities, like Bennett, will receive public education through age 21. I mean, I'm so grateful for the advocacy that's happened ahead of us, and I would never ever take that for granted. And so I feel like, walking in a place of gratitude and not bitterness is kind of is the fine line that I try and walk, because I also think it is a heavy load. Let's just say that, to be a parent of a child with disability. And so
Yeah.
with that can come bitterness, can come self, um, just pity party nonstop, and I don't judge those people, but I just feel like I can't live like that. And especially my younger two children need a mom who still has optimism, still has, you know, the glass is half full, the world is a good place. There are good people out there. We don't have this curse. We don't have this prison sentence. I think there's just so many different, just kind of even unspoken things that are kind of out there. And so I guess I'm really stubborn, and I'm trying to pave the way of like, no, like, we don't have to live better. We can live better and still loving and still hopeful and still joyous, and just trying to be that example in our community and everywhere we go, is kind of the reason why we wrote the book and why we're kind of willing to share our family story, because it's not easy, but it's worth it 100%.
The book is available at Amazon, right?
Yeah, it's at Amazon, Target, Barnes and Noble, and we actually have a website, hopeintheheartache.com. If any of your viewers, we have a blog and just a little bit more background about our family and some pictures and stuff like that we'll continue to be updating. And the book is available as of May 31st, and you can get it wherever you shop for books, and it's on the Kindle on Amazon as well.
What has been the response thus far from people?
We've gotten nothing but positive feedback, and I mean, I live outside of DC, so I was prepared for everything. I was ready to take all the incomings in whatever way that was going to look like. But honestly, we've gotten nothing but positive feedback and support and encouragement, and including from people we don't even know, and that has just meant the world. And I even had a woman who I know very little. I ran into her at the grocery store, and she just said, I just had a double mastectomy, and all I
Mm.
had next to my nightstand was your book. And I just can't thank you so much for writing it. And that just meant so much to me, because she was a woman who has 3 healthy kids, but yet she was dealing with this really difficult thing in life. And the fact that our book was an encouragement to her was the ultimate compliment. And I was just so, so, so grateful for her to just stop me and let me know that, because that just, that's all we wanted. We just want this book to be an encouragement and to be, a little bit of hope, a little bit of light in a crazy world that we're living in.
Isn't that incredible? I mean, it's, you never know what the response is going to be like, and people have been really gravitating to it. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Chris actually popping in had a question, and I think it's a great one too. He goes, does Bennett have a favorite food or cartoon that brings him the most joy in his daily life? Things that he does that brings him joy, gets him to forget about
Yes.
things.
Great, man, Chris, you got some
Chris is
great
on
questions
fire
tonight. You're
tonight.
on
Yes, Chris,
fire.
we love it.
You're crushing the questions.
He's a real lovety. They're all loveties.
I'm loving the levity. I
You're a
will I
lovety
will
too
remember
now.
that.
They've
I'm
already
in it. I'm a
you're
levity.
in. You're part
I'm
of the lovety
so
squad
honored.
now.
Thank you. Chris, it's so funny that you should ask. I can't believe I haven't mentioned, but Bennett loves the Wiggles. They are the 5 Australian singers, and they are amazing, and that's all we watch in our house is the Wiggles. He went through like a feral phase where he liked Happy and like some more upbeat songs, but we always come back to the Wiggles. But he is so he's a huge Wiggles fan. Regarding food, he's 100% G-tube fed, and so he can't really eat by mouth. Just we tried for years, but he would aspirate and get more pneumonias, and I
Yeah.
just couldn't deal with more pneumonias.
Yeah.
So the crazy thing is this baby formula shortage has actually affected us and parents, really anyone who is tube fed, because
That's
all
true.
formulas are protein based powder, and so I was actually trying to help get formula for a friend of ours who has an infant son, and she's fighting for her life.
Have they determined what's causing the shortage specifically of these formulas? What's happening?
I mean, there's a
Was
lot
there
of
a
stories out there.
recall or
Yeah,
something,
there definitely was a recall. A plant was shut down to be cleaned, but I don't understand why it takes like months to clean a plant. I'm like, can't you get a bunch of cleaning crews in and do that quickly? But anyway,
Yeah.
it's been. I mean, it's just the minute, and we had about a month's supply. So Bennett has food, but
And the
I was
costs of everything now are
oh,
through
the
the
costs
roof.
have skyrocketed. And I'm like, the most vulnerable in society, newborns, infants, those with disabilities, who depend on tube feeding for life. How are they just being put on the back burner? Like they're just the most vulnerable and yet really the least prioritized right now. And so I have really, really been vocal about this because I cannot believe our
It's
leaders are not doing more to
kind of
alleviate this.
disgusting on many levels.
Yeah, it's been insane. So anyway, all that to say, I do think it's getting a little bit better, but man, it's just been so stressful for especially new moms who just gave birth. My heart was just breaking for them. I couldn't even imagine.
Absolutely. He actually had a question, asking about Bennett, but he also wanted to know about you. What is your favorite hobby that helps you get through the day, like gardening or art that helps you stay sane?
Great question. My husband might question my sanity. No, I'm just kidding. I honestly think I am a people person. I'm an extrovert. My husband is more of an introvert. Opposites attract. So definitely like keeping, whether just be texting with my friends. I am also a fan of a McDonald's large Coke. When Bennett was a baby and screaming, and I'd given him 3 baths and changed his diaper, and I would just put him in the car seat, and we would drive through the McDonald's drive-through. And so to this day, a large regular Coke is kind of my happy place. And then on the other side of that, I do enjoy a good jog on the pavement. I don't really like treadmills, but I do need to get outside, smell the fresh air. We live in DC where there's 4 seasons. I love a crisp fall day. I love a beautiful spring day. So yeah, I would just say a little bit of exercise outside and a large McDonald's Coke. I know, crazy. I told a California nutritionist that last week on the
Coca-Cola, if you're
podcast.
listening, you can send a box or two, crate or two
For
to
sponsors.
the Specks. That's it.
Oh my gosh.
Hope is a big part of the theme of our conversation, but also the book itself. How did hope and faith keep you going?
Yeah, I mean, it was everything for us because, we couldn't attend church. I mean, there were prayer vigils happening, especially those first 16 to 18 days of Bennett's life, that we couldn't leave his side because we were afraid if we left, we might lose him when we were gone. And so we had
Yeah,
nothing to give,
right.
other than depending on the prayers of others and just crying out to God. And, in some of our lowest moments, it was just sometimes you don't even have the words to pray, but other people were praying for us. I just remember saying over and over again, Jesus, please save him. Like, please don't let my baby die. Just crying out in the most gut wrenching please. And just we never felt alone, and I think that was because of all the loved ones around us, but also our faith. that my husband and I were both raised in homes that were very faith-filled, and we were so grateful for that foundation, because um, I truly don't know how people do this without faith. And I hope that after reading our book, you might be encouraged to just, if you don't have a faith, or a lot of people are said, oh, I tried church, wronged me in this way, or this church person wronged me in that way. I get it, because we're all human and we all make mistakes, but just there's a God who loves you and created you, and he created Bennett. We know that, and we know he saved Bennett from the grip of death. I mean, we've had top neonatologists tell us there's no medical explanation for why your baby lived. Zero. And so when you hear that, nothing is a coincidence. He didn't just live by coincidence, accidentally. Oh, his lungs opened up. We know that's not true. And so, yeah, anyone, please feel free. You can contact us via our website, hopeintheheartache.com. If there's any way we can share our faith with you or be an encouragement, we would be more than happy to.
It's really amazing, the way that you just so freely share this. And I think it's absolutely inspiring, and absolutely, it's breathtaking. It's so beautiful, and not everybody, is able to do it in the way that you're doing it. And I know it's feeding you as much as it feeds those who you are inspiring. The fact that you stepped outside the comfort zone to write the book and tell this amazing story. What are some things that have surprised you along the way by doing that in a beautiful way?
Yeah, I got to tell you, we just the book released May 31st, and we just kind of
Congratulations.
didn't know you. Thank you. You kind of have to follow the news cycles, right? So there for a
Yes.
while. But the first week out of the shoot, Fox 5 DC here in DC like said, we want you to come on our morning show. And I was like, what? I mean, I'd done like no real media training, and I just said, okay. And I showed up. I mean, I didn't know what to expect. But the interesting thing was what I later found out. So I did the interview with this wonderful man on their morning show, Steve, and he was great. And I could tell there was like a depth to him about just the topic of children with disabilities. And as we wrapped up and they went to commercial break, and I took a deep breath, and he said, yeah, he said, I've got a 40-year-old cousin with severe intellectual disabilities. And in fact, both my aunt and uncle have passed away, and my sister just took over guardianship. So I know how hard it is. He just kind of gave me that look of he
Yes.
gets it. And
Yeah.
I was like, wow, because he did get it, and he
Yes.
more so than me. I mean, for a sister to be taking on guardianship, I mean, that is a whole nother just level of love and commitment and just character. I mean, I'm sorry, that's amazing. And so that was basically week one of our book launch. And I was so humbled by that and just blown away. And what I just realized is like, there's so many people out there who, what it may not be someone in your family, maybe it's a coworker's child or a neighbor's child. We all have so many different connections, really, even just to caregiving or an Alzheimer's, grandfather or whatever it may be,
Yes.
and it's hard. There's
Yeah.
no way around that. And so, I think acknowledging that, but yet also trying to give encouragement and hope, is just kind of that fine line that we're trying to just share with the world.
There's a lot of I've interviewed, professionally, a lot of people in the caregiving world too, from like you say, Alzheimer's and really everything. People who are caring for somebody that maybe was in a car accident, whatever it may be, and oftentimes the caregiver is forgotten about, and the caregivers, they stop their life. They pause everything to make sure that they care for that loved one, that friend, if it's a guardian situation, whatever it may be. And sometimes they're not eating and they're not sleeping and they're not taking their medicine and they're not getting a chance to breathe in deeply and enjoy life as well. Um, how were you, as the caregivers, able to do that, to breathe and eat and make sure that you can do what you have to do, but still tend to you as well? Because caregivers, again, are often very forgotten about. And there's a lot of support groups now that have been forming and a lot of attention positively. And it's very important that it is on the caregiver.
Yes, that's a great question. In fact, I think a movie just came out, and I've had some moms say, "Have you seen it?" And I have not, but I would like to go see it. And I don't even know the name of it off the top of my head, but it's a great question. I mean, obviously, I'm well, oh gosh, almost 44. So has been I've had my youth, in my corner. But I do laugh. I think it was Christmas of 2017, actually, after the really rough summer that we'd had with Bennett's double hip
Wow.
surgery. And I, right before 2 or 3 days before Christmas, I felt like I was having a heart attack. And I felt this like tension in my neck. And I just was like, I'm about to have a heart attack. My kids aren't going to have a mom. And I went into full on panic mode. And my husband sent me to urgent care. And I get in there, and I was experiencing high blood pressure, which runs on my side of the family. And, the doctor said, "Are you under any stress?"
Sit
And I
down,
was
doctor.
like, "Yeah, I
Take a
think I
seat.
am." She was like, "Can I give you a Valium?" And so anyway, that began kind of a journey for me, of just, yeah, I mean, heart disease runs in my side of the family. And obviously that was a wake up call because I
Mhm.
hadn't been going to the doctor. There had been no time, for
Right.
any signs. And so for my husband, he was like, "Kelly, like you are,
You need
when
to.
is the appointment?" And he's on me now. "Have you taken your medicine?" Because that's the thing. I am so stubborn. I'm like, I don't want to be on blood pressure medicine at the age of 40. But guess what? Like, if I had cancer, I would be taking my cancer meds, and so
Yes.
it's just like I have had to accept the fact that I too am
Vulnerable.
mortal.
You're human.
Right. And so, yeah, I can speak very firsthand experience to that. I'm seeing my cardiologist this week, because it's just like no one has any time. Like we just, if mama's not okay, the ship is not okay. And so we got to keep this ship afloat. And anyway, so I totally, yes, agree that it's hard as a caregiver to take that time, but both my husband and I have made it a priority. Like we each need, number one, our backs to stay intact because Bennett is only getting heavier by the day. And so lifting him is a real challenge. And so, kind of just like working out and keeping our core strong, everything um is a priority, for the sake of our family. And so, yeah, it puts a whole new, it's not just to look good in a bikini. It's literally like I need to be strong, to hold my son. And so, yeah.
The cover of the book is beautiful. How did you come up with the design for the cover of the book?
Thank you. It was really hard. I remember our publisher saying only celebrities like Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Bill Clinton are on the front of their covers. Like, it's, if you're like not known, like that's not normally. And I'm like, oh, absolutely. I totally get that. So then we thought about like, should we do like a baby's hand or like praying hands, kind of like this subtle. But the best part is we have this local photographer who's awesome named Katie. And she had done pictures for us just for the inside cover and that sort of thing. And honestly, that is the only picture in almost 15 years of family life that Bennett is looking up, because in most of the pictures, gravity just pulls his head down. Just that's just the way it goes. But she got, our little local photographer, Katie, got this picture. And the minute my publisher saw it, he said, "That's the cover." And I was like, "But I'm not a celebrity." And he goes, "I don't care. That's the cover." And so that's how we did it. We had a great graphic designer, and yeah, it just kind of all came together exactly the way it was supposed to, because yeah, that picture just sums up each personality in our family perfect.
Perfectly.
Yeah, Reagan, our daughter's the snuggler, and she and my husband are like twins, and Travis is just always right by Bennett's side. And then we've got Jackson, our middle, who's just, he's more strong stoic. So anyway, it's just, yeah, I'll forever be grateful that Katie got that picture, because it's, and Bennett's looking up, just like looking up at the angels. He's just
Yes. Like he's happy to be surrounded by all the love, or as we say on the Jim Master Show, levity.
levity.
There's a lot of
Yes.
levity in that photo, huh?
Love, love, loved levity. I love it.
I tell you. What do you hope people are left with when they read this book? What do you hope are some of the things, the messages, the feelings, the vibes that they are left with when they read the book?
Yeah. I'm so glad you asked that, because I mean, as if someone is reading the book who's in deep pain themselves, whether it be depression, loneliness, caregiver fatigue, whatever it may be, I just hope that they will take from it that life is beautiful. All life is beautiful, and our story doesn't end. this is just a chapter in their story. I remember a friend telling me that your story, when Bennett was in the NICU and we weren't sure if he was going to live, she said, your story does not end here. This is not the end of your book. Little do we know we would be writing a book, but just being able to know, yes, hard times are so torturous, but yet there is light at the end of the tunnel. And that's so cliche, but it's so true. But most of all, they're not alone. There's a God who loves them. There are people in the world available and wanting to help them, and that's the thing with the internet. And honestly, with COVID have come so many online groups that I think are creating community via virtually. I guess that is a positive that came from COVID. And so there's so many online support groups, whether it be special needs parents. For any special needs parents on this watching tonight, Rising Above Ministries is this amazing ministry in Tennessee, and they do virtual Zoom support groups for parents, for married couples, fathers, moms, siblings, you name it. And it's just, you have instant community and people who just get it. But then of course, if you're dealing with and whatever other struggles there may be, that there is hope, and that you are loved. I just feel like people need to know they're loved and they're seen. And I've just tried to make it my mantra in life, just the people who come across my path, just to make sure they know I see them and I appreciate them, whether that be my guy at McDonald's, who I know well. I was like, where have you been? I haven't seen you. He's like, I traveled to Africa for 3 weeks. I'm like, of course you did. I've been missing you, but it's just like, just making relationships with the people, whether it be at the grocery store or whatever, I just think that that's the secret to life, is really just seeking people out and letting them know that you see them and you appreciate them for whatever it is, in whatever way that looks like. And obviously there's always difficult relationships in life, and we have dealt with that as well. And even with that, I think grace, everyone's doing the best that they can, obviously.
Yeah.
I've had low moments, my husband's had low moments, and just giving people the grace that they need, maybe sometimes that they don't deserve, is another thing that really ends up not only benefiting them, but benefiting ourselves as well.
It's beautiful. It's really a beautiful story and a beautiful book, and so perfectly titled too, Hope in the Heartache. And you've been sharing it in such a glorious and beautiful way. And so you might be, the writing bug has bit you. You might be penning some more, I see, Kelly, huh?
I don't think anytime soon. I mean, they say writing a book is like birthing a baby, and
It
I get
is.
it. I
Yes.
get it,
It's like a
because
child.
it is like the writing honestly isn't the hardest part. It's really the editing and then second guessing and then
Yes.
all the mind
Rewriting.
stuff. And
How'd
I
you
mean,
know
then I'm
when it
like,
was
this is all
done?
trash. This is trash. I just
Oh,
need
you
to.
threw it out. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And my husband said, you're crazy. We're not. I was like, we have to stop. We cannot do this. And he was like, you're nuts. It's already done. Like, it's
It's already
happening.
done.
And I'm like,
It's
oh
done. It's
my gosh.
ready. Did you do a
Yeah.
lot of rewrites? A lot of
No, we really
no.
didn't.
So that's
No.
good. You
Yeah,
stuck
we
with it. How did you know when you were done? Because sometimes, what did you find harder? I'm a writer myself too, and it's, sometimes putting those first few words down on the page is hard. Some people have said the ending, know when to put the period on the last sentence to say, okay, I'm good with it. That
right,
is done. And then some have said, which I find really interesting, the middle is hard for them because the beginning is always the beginning, the end is
right.
the end, but the transitioning and linking the beginning and the end with the content of the middle. How about you? What was more, you know, difficult for you? Would it get started, wrapping it, putting the period on the end of the sentence, the middle?
Yeah, I mean, I think like you said, the beginning, easy breezy. I mean, that's the soap opera, Bennett's, in the NICU about to die, this climactic, miracle night. And then I think the ending, I kind of knew I wanted to wrap up with our faith and just kind of how been able to have hope.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to be too preachy, because I know what a turnoff that is. I mean, I live in DC. People don't want to hear, the street preachers are the last thing that they want to deal with. And so kind of that finesse of just like, here's what our hope is, but not too preachy, for lack of a better word. So the middle for me was the hardest, because I had so many stories to tell. And then it was like, I mean, I've had people say, how you and Travis, how could you do, like, how did you, number one, stay married, number two, just how have you done this? And a lot of that answer is in our upbringing, who formed us, the people in our life as children, family. But then I was like, this isn't the Kelly and Travis autobiography. So I ended up cutting a lot of that out because I honestly, when it came down to it, I was like, what is the purpose of this book? Number one, I wanted to honor God. Number two, I wanted to honor Bennett. And number three, I wanted to honor our younger two kids as they grow older and they're adults and parents one day, and reading this to their kids and grandkids. This is our family story. And so I just wanted to make sure it was honoring everyone, and that it wasn't, the last thing we want is this to give us any glory. No, like, this is, God gets all the glory for Bennett's life. We're just like vessels. We get to take care of this sweet angel. And so kind of that was what I was always trying to kind of keep in my mind. They think of who's your target reader, or think of this person who's reading it, and kind of keeping all the different types of people in my mind. So I ended up stripping out a lot of like Travis's upbringing, my upbringing, and kind of just like, so we got married, college sweethearts, and here's how it went. And so yeah, it could have been longer. I definitely could have. But I think the next, if we were to write another book, I would definitely want to focus more on like just the sibling aspect of just the highs and lows of that, as well as probably a little bit more into our faith, because that's kind of been an interesting journey as well. We were both raised very Protestant, and are currently now in Catholic community, and that's kind of been a really unique just unexpected gift, I would say. And so, yeah. But anyway, that's not going to be anytime soon. For now, I'm really enjoying just being done with the book.
There it is.
And
Yes.
sharing it. Yeah. And just, yeah.
Is there anything like a little snippet from the book that you'd like to share with us, perhaps? I love when an author gets to read some of their own words and maybe share just a little bit with our audience. And
oh my God.
Merlin in Ontario, Canada asked, did you keep a journal along the way?
I did. So the saddest thing is, we actually had this online, it was called totsites.com. It was basically like one of those low budget make your own websites. And so we would update it daily, day one, day two of the NICU. And that's how our friends really around the country and the world were able to get the updates, because that was before Facebook or whatever. And so that was kind of like a daily journal. And then, blogging was really big in like the 2000s. And so I had a blog there for a while where I would kind of just talk about Bennett's life early on. And so those writing has been very therapeutic. And I think you'd asked me that, Jim, and I maybe didn't fully answer that question, but, writing is so cathartic. And so for sure, as I was writing out, the NICU experience and just everything leading up to his near-death night, the details came back to me. It felt like it was yesterday. The smells, the sounds, I think anyone who's been kind of through trauma, you just like, your body holds on to certain sensory things. And even Travis was like, I can't believe you remembered like the level of detail. And I'm like, as a mom, I think you just, there's certain things you can never forget. And so that was all really just easy to kind of tap back into, but also, tears flowed. It was because even though it's been 15 years almost, and I can talk about it without crying, it's still literally, both Travis and I have said when we read this book, we're like, we can't believe this is our life. It's still like shocking, really, like what we have been through and what still lies ahead. And so I think, yeah, there's just so many feelings.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So many feelings.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Okay. I was just going to find this one.
Oh, cool.
Little excerpt. Okay. Is it okay if I don't look at the camera? I'll bring it down here.
That would be hard to read and look at the camera, right? Unless you had a teleprompter.
Right. Should have been more prepared.
I'm in the business and I can't even do reading from the book and looking at the camera at the same time.
Okay, I'll be short. Throughout my life, I had seen Hollywood scripted birth scenes in movies and TV shows and had played with baby dolls well past the age of 12. But now, in a few brief moments, I was going to get to hold my very own baby. As I felt the final big tug of our son being pulled from my body, Bennett Mitchell Speck entered the world at 9:20 a.m., weighing 7 pounds, 6 ounces, and measuring 19 and a half inches long. Unbeknownst to us at the time, he was born blue and barely breathing. We did notice that he came out not crying, as the room was instantly eerily quiet when the medical team pulled him out of me. We later learned that he was barely alive, registering very low APGAR scores, a measure of the physical condition of all newborn infants. Immediately, it felt as all the air had been sucked from the room. The energy was tense, and we were unsure of exactly what was going on. The nurses quickly cleaned Bennett off, wrapped him up in a blanket, and a kind nurse nervously blurted out, "Here's your son," as she held him up for us to see his face before running him down the hall to the NICU. We were completely stunned, so all we could do was watch the operating room's door swing back and forth behind her, listening to its dull squeak. Our birth plan did not include this. What on earth was going on? We'd planned to have our first newborn son placed on my bare chest for skin to skin and his first attempt at breastfeeding. Instead, we were left with a silent, cold, and tense operating room filled with medical professionals who seemed to be as dumbfounded as we were, the two first-time parents. And that's kind of the day of his birth. And then from there flows, well, I guess sorry, this wraps up a little better. The moments following Bennett being whisked away to the NICU were the kickoff of a nightmare journey we would have never prepared for. We never could have prepared for it. Our hearts were prepared for a healthy birth based on all the indicators leading up to that day. And yet, instead of a healthy birth, we were experiencing a traumatic birth with a baby in serious life-threatening distress, just moments away from being born stillborn. So yeah, that's just kind of leads up to how everything went from there. And yeah, I think we all make plans and then life happens. And I, whether that be you plan for a certain job and that doesn't happen, you plan for a certain move or a certain spouse or you name it. And, the word pivot obviously has been so overused with everything COVID related, but, sometimes our most unexpected curves really can be our greatest gifts and teachers.
Yes.
I mean, my Bennett, my husband Travis says, Bennett, he teaches us more than we could ever teach him, and that's so simple but yet so profound, and it's just so true. And so I think just being open, each one of us, as we walk along life and things don't happen the way we might expect them to or want them to, just being open to what we can be taught is just really, it's a game changer.
It really is. And it's what we do with it and how we react to it that really makes such a beautiful difference in our lives and in the lives of those around us. And it seems, Kelly, that you and Travis and the family have certainly done that. You've pulled together through thick and thin, through up and down, through the myriad of everyday living and all the things that happen and all the things that are thrown at all of us. And you've taken it, and as opposed to pulling the shades down and just hiding under the blankets, not that in the beginning you didn't do that. I think we all do that when there's things that are thrown at us that are overwhelming and very heavy, and then we have to figure out quick. But you've taken it and you've come out from the blanket and you opened up the shades and you said, here's the story. Here's what it's all about. Here's who we are. Here's who loving Bennett is. And hopefully by us sharing that, you can get through this too, and you can come together as opposed to pull apart, and you can surround that person with love and surround each other with love, and then look to that individual as a gift and the things that they bring that maybe are unique and extra special too. It's a beautiful thing when you look at it that way, with positivity and warmth and hope and love and faith, as you have done in a full circle way. And that really is a beautiful message for others who are watching this right now live, or will watch this later, who will read this book, who maybe will get the book as a gift for somebody else who is going through something similar to what you guys have been dealing with and have shared so openly and so beautifully. It's a gift that is extraordinary, and you're a beautiful person for wanting to share it with the world in the way that you do, because you put yourself out there regardless of what the response would be. You put yourself out there because you have that heart, that soul, and it honors Bennett in such a beautiful way as well.
Thank you so much, Jim. I mean, gosh, I can't tell you how much that means. I think Yeah, I don't even know. I'm at a loss for words. But I think one thing we have, it's so when you have little kids, they're just the best teachers. Preschoolers, I love them. They ask the most random, raw questions. We'd have our little guys, their friends would say, "Why can't he walk? Why can't he talk? What's wrong with him?" And we could just say, "Well, he's born really sick and his brain got hurt." We kind of could just simplify everything. But the earlier we all learn that life is not about us, wow, how freeing that is, and it's hard, I mean, my husband is a man, he loves cars. He drives two minivans, like that's not fun for him. One minivan that we can get, eight kids for a carpool, and then one minivan with a ramp that we can take Bennett on trips. And so,
Yeah.
it's just like, obviously, it's not fun when you can't constantly be, indulging and doing what feels good to you. But at the same time, like, there's so much freedom and just like not making everything about ourselves, and Bennett is a constant reminder of like, life is not all about us and our happiness, and really serving someone else, with the dignity and love and worth that he has as a child of God, it is such a gift, to really focus on someone else other than ourselves. And so anyway, that I'm constantly trying to teach myself that, obviously. And then as our two little people who are, kids growing up these days, a lot is about them all the time, and so we are
Yes.
in a constant
Yeah.
back and forth about who's in charge. But anyway, thank you so much for all your kind words,
Ah,
Bennett. He is a gift, there's no doubt about it.
it's all my pleasure and comes from the heart as well. And Kathleen Walker, watching one of our lovelies in New York City, says this sounds like a must read. Absolutely,
Oh,
Kathleen. Linda
thank
in
you,
St. Augustine,
Kathleen.
Florida, says I'm just like all the other lovelies. I just want to hug you and your family, tell you everything is going to be okay. Kathleen in New
Mm.
York also says thank you so much for being here, Kelly, and for sharing all this. God bless you and your family. Juanita, watching in South Africa. Thank you, Kelly, for sharing your story with us and being an inspiration. Congratulations on your book. May it spread lots of love and hope. Nikki, watching, I wish you, Travis, and your family continued happiness. God continue to bless you. She is out in Los Angeles. Really, really beautiful. And Mary Bishop in Florida, such an inspirational story. Thank you for sharing, Kelly.
I see Maureen's question about his APGAR scores.
Yes, she's a nurse. She's a retired nurse from Arizona. Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly, Maureen, if I remember right, I think they were like 121, which
Now,
are,
yeah. What does that mean? Explain that for the rest that aren't sure what even that is.
I would have to get, it's literally just based on like, I think like, I mean, Maureen might be able to tell us more
Yeah,
actually, but I think
what they
it's
are.
like,
Yeah.
just looking at their skin, how pink it is versus how blue,
The color.
I
Yeah.
think it's just literally like right off the bat, how do they look? Their breathing, their blood flow, they're all, it's just boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, because his lungs were literally full of pneumonia. He just was pretty blue and just, yeah, he couldn't even cry. And so, yeah, just a
Yeah.
really, really
Couldn't
difficult
even
start to life.
cry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joan says, thank you, Kelly and Travis, for sharing your family with Jim and all the lovities. God bless your family. Beautifully said.
Oh my
And
goodness. You lovities are so full of love.
this
I'm
is
so
our show. This is what I created 2 years ago, 700 episodes again, and it's blossomed into this. And you'll have to watch now too and be a regular
yes,
viewer and
I'm
see all the
hooked.
great. Tony Orlando was just here the other night. Can you imagine?
Wow.
And you said tie
Wow.
a ribbon. You remember? Tie a yellow ribbon around the
Yes,
old oak
yes.
tree. It's cool
Wow.
stuff, and we're having a
Awesome.
good time with this series. And you're welcome back anytime.
Oh,
Spread the word about our series. This is what we do, and we always like to have a good time, lots of levity and poignant moments, inspiring moments as well, with our talk show. But I hope the book is great success, because I know the reason why you wrote it is to reach people and to touch people, and that's a beautiful reason. It's legacy building on so many different levels, which I think is absolutely stunning. Hopeintheheartache.com is the website. Again, folks, you can go to Amazon. It's also, like you said, available on Kindle as well, which is great, as for those who want Kindle, right?
exactly. Save the paper. Yes.
That's right. Save a tree.
Savagery.
I hope the show met whatever expectations you had, Kelly, and you enjoyed the time with me as much as I
Oh,
absolutely have with you.
Yes, I am a fan, Jim. I'm like, so is it every Thursday night at this time?
It's every day of the week live,
Every day. Oh my gosh.
7
Okay. Okay.
days.
Okay. I'm hooked. I'm going to set my alarm. This is awesome. Thank you, Lovities. You've been so warm. Thank you so
It's our
much.
pleasure. Absolutely our pleasure. Couple more sliding in. Crystal saying this was such a beautiful, heartwarming episode. Perfect. That's what we aimed for. Maureen is explaining, yes, it's a score they give newborns that measures heart rate, respiratory effort, and muscle tone. Obviously, the higher, the healthier the baby is. Thank you for answering, Kelly. Beautiful. And Chris Corman, your story makes me want to do more with my disabilities. Chris, yeah, that's beautifully said. Really. And it actually stands for appearance, skin color, pulse, grimace, reflexes, activity, muscle tone, and respiratory effort. And
Thank you,
Merlin in
Maureen.
Ontario, special love to your family. Uh, Kelly, thank you very much for stopping by the Gym Masters Show Live series. Really was a blessing. And any final words you have as far as our show, our conversation, or anything you wanted to share?
I would just like to thank everyone for taking the time tonight to hear our story about a little boy in Bennett. We are just really ordinary people who have just had extraordinary events occur in our life because of this special little boy and his life. And so we just want to share it with the world. And thank you so much for your time, Jim. I'm truly honored and to be on your show. And what a wonderful community you've created. Well done.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Now you're a Lovity, so there's no
I'm
turning
in.
back. You're in. They already said Bennett's a Lovity. You're all Lovities. They're the
Oh,
Specks are Lovities.
thank you. Thank you. I cannot
It's
wait
like
to
getting
show
an
my
Oscar, isn't it?
yeah, it's better than
And
that.
you did that just like you were getting an Oscar. Oh, thank you. Oh my God. I want to
Oh
thank the
my gosh,
Academy.
I know. Thank you, thank you. Oh my
That's
gosh.
it.
No, my daughter's gonna eat this up. She will gladly be a VIP Lovity.
What's her name again?
Reagan. Yes. I'm sorry. Yes,
Reagan. Hello,
Reagan G.
Reagan, on the
I
Jim Masters show. She's gonna go crazy.
know. Oh, YouTube. Oh, she's like, don't forget to leave a like. I mean,
Oh, you know, she knows,
this
right?
generation knows. They know. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh, so she knows that you have to do this.
Yes,
Subscribe
click
to
to
the YouTube
subscribe.
channel,
I was about
please.
to say that.
Jim Masters TV. And then when you do that, then you have to give us a like and leave a comment on the
Exactly.
YouTube channel. That helps us
Perfect.
grow and we respond. And it's all about engagement. Yes,
Yes,
she
we
knows that already. And how old is she?
oh, 9. This generation,
Wow. Oh, nice.
unbelievable. She's 9. Oh, yeah. They've been, like, autopilot trained. I mean,
They already, right. I
there's no
at
stopping
9, I
them.
was still on the floor with my Matchbox cars.
Oh, I was, like, putting glue on my hand and watching it, like, peeling it off, I mean, like, the things that
Oh,
used
remember
to
they used to
entertain
do that?
us. Oh,
They used
yeah.
to do that, yes. You put it on your finger and then
Oh
you'd
my
peel it
god.
off.
Oh, totally. It was a challenge.
You'd
Oh,
think we lived in the 1700s or
I
something,
know.
but it's,
Oh, I know.
and then there were those kids that ate it, but that's a whole other story.
We won't talk about that. We won't talk about
Jim, it would be terrific to be able to have Kelly on again. Absolutely. Whenever that might happen. Thank you for bringing her on. The pleasure is all mine
Oh,
from
thank
Nikki.
you.
And
Thank you.
thank you, Kelly. God bless you. And we hope to see you again, Kelly and Maureen. This has been definitely a don't miss conversation. Thank you, Kelly, for bringing your heart
Oh.
this evening as well.
Thank you, Maureen. Oh my gosh, you guys are gonna make me cry. Thank you so much.
But it's a good cry, right?
It is a good cry.
There's the book,
Yes.
everybody, and make sure you get it for yourself. Pick up a copy for a friend or a loved one you think would be very moved and inspired by it as well. Amazon, you can find it as well. And of course, I mentioned the website you can go to learn more about everything. There it is, hopeintheheartache.com. Kelly Speck, thanks so much for gracing us with your presence on the Jim Masters Show Live.
Wow.
Spread the word about our show. We would love that. And we'll keep the porch light on for you as well. Okay, my friend?
I can't wait. Thank you to Jim and all the Lovities. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. God bless.
The pleasure is all ours. We'll see you again soon, and you be well, you and the family,
Okay.
okay?
Same to you. Take care.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. Kelly Speck here on the show live. And again, there is that website for all of you to peruse and to enjoy. And again, thanks for joining us, everybody. This was really fantastic. As you know, our show is something different every day. We do it as an entertainment, lifestyle, variety talk show, like a television series. And if you look at all the episodes, you can go in our archives and binge almost 700 episodes with celebrity friends, guests from Broadway, Hollywood, television, film, music, stage, culinary arts, sports, comedy, inspiration, and life. And that's what it's all about. Thanks for joining us. This was really a beautiful conversation. And, oftentimes there is hope in the heartache. I think that's a perfectly named book. And there they are. And there's Bennett right there, front and center. We thank Kelly for joining us, opening up her heart and sharing it with all of us and with you here on the Jim Masters Show live on this wonderful exclusive episode here. We really, really enjoyed that. And we'd love to have her back. If you were with us last night, another inspiring and very fun episode when John Davidson was with us, legendary TV and game show host, singer, songwriter, actor. He sang for us. He was actually on a swing singing inside his beautiful Club Sandwich entertainment venue in New Hampshire. It was amazing. And if you saw just a couple of nights ago, the one and only legendary Tony Orlando was with us. Grammy nominated gold and platinum selling music legend and entertainer, stopped by the Jim Masters Show live. Melissa Manchester was with us recently as well for an epic conversation. Lucy Arnez was here. You can see all these episodes on our show. Want to let you know, tomorrow we have one of the most sought after mezzo-sopranos out there in the world of opera, acclaimed mezzo-soprano. Ticina Vaughn is with us live, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We're looking forward to that. She's been with the Metropolitan Opera. She's got such a breathtaking and inspiring story. She hails originally from North Carolina. On Saturday, we have former teen idol, actor, singer, and drummer extraordinaire Gary Private's going to be with us. We're looking forward to that as well. Also coming up soon, legendary comedian, actress, singer Barbara Brighton is going to be with us live from Las Vegas. All coming up right here on the Jim Masters Show live entertainment, lifestyle, variety talk show series. Again, we would love it if you did click that red button, subscribe. There's no cost for it. That lets us know you appreciate all this content, all these episodes, all these hours and hours of entertainment and inspiration and good conversation, levity, and everything we can throw at you. And as always, please do drop a comment on our actual YouTube channel underneath this episode. Give us a like, click that like thumbs up. And we would absolutely love that. And we really thank you guys for being with us. It's been a busy day for me, but a fabulous day, rounding it out with all of you here from around the world, our international lovely squad and lovely audience, those who are here all the time, those who are watching quietly, who aren't commenting, and those who will be watching this later on in the archives. We welcome every single one of you. Everybody's welcome to our show, regardless of how much money you make, what car you drive, what color your eyes are, your gender, religious views, political views, height, weight. It doesn't matter what your favorite ice cream flavor is. You're all welcome to join us every single day as often as you can, live or Memorex. Live or Memorex. Memorex meaning in the archives here. You can check out all the episodes 24/7, 365. And if this was your first time watching the Jim Masters Show live, good to have you with us. We hope you'll make this a regular hobby, a regular fun spot to come and be inspired, have a good time. If you're having a rough day, if you're having a rough day, just stop by here. You'll leave feeling pretty good because we always come up with something fun and exciting for all of you. We work hard behind the scenes to put these monster shows together. That's why we don't call them interviews. We call them these conversations, like an old school talk show, Regis, Johnny Carson, Dick Cavett, Merv Griffin, Mike Douglas, but with a modern vibe of today. So Kathleen says, have a great night. Good night, all. Hugs to Kathleen in New York. You too as well. And to Crystal and to Sherry and to Merlin and everybody that's watching. These are some of the regular Lovely Squad folks here. And Sherry, thank you. Jim, for having Kelly on tonight. She's a wonderful inspiration. Absolutely. And Juanita in South Africa. This was a fantastic conversation. Thanks, Jim. Kelly was wonderful. Absolutely. Here on the Jim Masters Show live. We love it. And if Kelly isn't the very definition of levity, I don't know what is. I have no words for how Beautiful she is, especially her heart and her soul. Second that emotion. Pam says uplifting. Joan says, thanks, Jim. You're the best. We're still trying to figure out how we can print some of these out. I want to print that out and put it under my pillow. And Pam had Matchbox cars too. I still have my Matchbox cars and my Hot Wheels and my baseball cards. Still have all those. And my yearbooks and my Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey yearbooks and just all these things. We still have that. Do you know I still have my red fire engine from when I was a kid? Yes. My parents saved it. My mother saved it. My mother and father saved it for years and years and years. And then they gave it to us. I have it. My nephew, he's older now, but he was given my tricycle. So the tricycle that I had and my sisters as well, was passed down to family members as well. Does anybody remember when clothes would be passed down too? Like, say, for example, you had a cousin, say I had jeans or something, corduroys, whatever, and then I grew out of them, but you have a cousin who is a little bit younger, so then those would be passed to the other relative. That was a big thing. I remember all of that. We didn't receive, but we gave, which was cool. And now Merlin you want a popsicle? I could go for a cold, refreshing popsicle myself as well. You have all the yearbooks still somewhere, huh? Yeah, I still have all of that. I used to have autograph books. You know how at the back of in junior high school, elementary school, you'd have your friends and sometimes even the teachers sign the back of the book. We did all that, but I used to have autograph books too. And when there would be like my 6th grade graduation party or my junior high school graduation or high school, I had an autograph book where, the guests would sign autographs, relatives, friends, and still have all those too put away. And we have 1 billion pictures and 8mm film and video because our family very big with taking video and film and all that over the years, and we're so glad that they did and that we still do as well. You guys are great. Thanks for all of this. Those of you that did a super chat, super emoji, super sticker, which you can do live when the show is live, that really helps support everything that we do here, and that means a great deal to us doing that. And we want to thank you very much for doing that as well. Just looking at all these fantastic comments. Crystal says hearts for Bennett. That's beautiful. Absolutely. Hearts and levity for Bennett. Big time. Hope you guys are having a good day. I'm just scrolling and looking at all these comments. There's somebody that just passed through. Crystal did this beautiful super chat. You're the best, Jim. We love you and appreciate all you do, Crystal. Thank you very much, Crystal. That means the world to us and to me, and we appreciate that. And you got my green in there. Green is my favorite color. You got the green in there too, Crystal. Thanks for that. That really is going the extra mile. Whenever anybody does that, I like to personally show it and thank you personally, because that's going the extra mile, and we appreciate all those who have done that. Toby says, great show today. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. You guys are terrific. All right. And you were the youngest cousin, so you wore the passed down clothes that came to you. And that's Juanita in South Africa. And Sherry in Kansas says, I always got all my sister's hand-me-downs. Then I got a job and bought my own. Until that time, yes, the teachers. Yeah, I had several teachers that signed the back of my yearbook as well. And there was a couple of teachers that were some of my favorites. And I made sure, in elementary school, junior high school, or do they call that middle school now? When I went, it was junior high school, and high school, they signed it as well. And we had some teachers. And in college, there were some professors that were my personal favorites as well. And I made sure I let them know the impact that they had on me as a student and on my life. And I even went back, to the schools. And of course, we go back to college, as an alumni and support the college, the university, but went back to like elementary school, junior and high school, and made sure I told the teachers that inspired me how much they did that. You should. Don't forget. We always say that. Let people know what they mean to you while they're here now. Whether you know the person personally and you just admire what they do, what they say, let them know how much they mean to you. I try to do that as much as I can. Blessings to all tonight from Nikki. Thank you very much. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Let us know. Leave a comment on our YouTube channel. That is big. When you do that, our episodes get to be seen by more people because YouTube loves that interaction. When you leave comments on the channel underneath this episode, drop a comment, and it goes out even around the world, bigger and brighter. There is that book, Get It? Hope in the Heartache. I think you'll love it. And again, we thank Kelly for joining us here on the show. It was really, really fantastic. Beautiful family, beautiful story right here on the Jim Masters Show as well. All right, gang, we're going to take off. We'll be back tomorrow for those that are watching live right here on the Jim Masters Show. We look forward to you joining us as well, hopefully. Don't forget, if you ever miss anything, you can see everything archived for you here on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. We're going to sign off. We don't say goodbye. We say see you later. Sláinte, cheers, ciao, hasta la vista, auf Wiedersehen, shalom, sayonara. Take it easy. Be well. Take care, and all the rest. Thank you, Kathleen. We shall get some rest. Yes, this weekend is Father's Day. It's a beautiful weekend as well. So we're going to be off on Sunday for Father's Day. And I hope you have a beautiful, but we're here on Friday. We're here on Saturday. We're here on Monday for all of you with amazing guests and lots of great episodes. Gang, thanks for being with us. Take care of one another, love one another, be good to one another. And we hope you're enjoying all we're doing here at JMS Lovely Hall, the Jim Masters Show for all of you. Take care. Be well. We'll see you again soon. All right. The comments are still piling in here. Everybody's saying, squeezing in good nights to one another. Right here, one big happy, lovely family on JMS. Take care, be well, wherever you're watching around the world. It was so great to have you with us. Join us again. We'll be waiting for you, all of us, me and the Lovely Squad. Will be waiting for all of you and you and you. And if this is your first time, thanks for joining us. Now go spread the word, spread that lovely. Tell everybody else about this cool place called the Jim Masters Show live on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. We'll see you again soon. You be well, take care, and cheers.